The Get Rich Slow Club podcast is a collaboration between Tash from Tash and Ana from Perla. The Get Rich Slow Club acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land we record on. From coast to coast, across land, waters, and communities, we pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Any advice is general and does not consider your financial situation, needs, or objectives, so consider whether it's appropriate for you.
Welcome to the Get Rich Slow Club podcast,
where we take you from beginner to confident investor,
where we can teach you everything you need to know about investing.
So come get rich slow with us. Welcome back. This is a really special episode because it is our 100th episode.
Crazy. 100 whole full episodes, and maybe a few other little bonus ones. But yeah, 100 full episodes.
I know. It's gone fast.
It's been a year and a half, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I've had a few people ask me when we started the podcast recently, and I'm like, oh yeah, like a year ago. But no, it's like a year and a half. It was April last year.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, like, we first started out with just like one episode a week with a couple bonus, which is why this is like a little bit more than 100, but 100 official ones.
Yeah.
And then we started releasing 2 episodes a week. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we've been busy, but like, congrats.
Hey, yes, exciting. There's a lot of effort that goes into some of these episodes, some more than others, but some of these take like hours of planning. And 100 is a lot of them.
Yeah, especially when we do like the technical ones, we really have to like make sure that we say everything correctly. There's been episodes where we had to get like pre-approval from our license holders to make sure that we're saying everything. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of work, but what an achievement.
Yeah, 100 of them. Yay. Yeah.
So in today's episode, we thought it would be really great to actually talk about the 10 lessons we've learned for our 100th episode. So we're going to go through 10 different lessons that we've learned throughout this, I guess, year and a half. And but before we do, money win, loss, money moment. What's yours, Tash?
I'm a bit sad at how expensive it is to get to the airport from where I live in Melbourne now. There's no real cheap options because of the toll roads as well. Like it costs, I don't know, the toll roads are $10 each way maybe.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. So at least $20 in toll roads. Or if you get the Sky Bus, it's what, $28 almost plus $5 for the train. That's like $30, $33, $32. Like it's expensive. Yes. And when there's $50 flights from Melbourne to lots of other places in Australia, but then you have to add on like either like $60 to $100 to get to and from the airport.
It still blows my mind that there's no train system straight to Melbourne airport. Like, don't even get me started on that.
And the fact that you have to pay to use the road to get to the airport.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a way around it, but like when you get off and plane, the last thing you want to do is like take a half an hour detour. But yeah, that's been a money loss for sure because I go to the airport a lot. I've only been twice since I've been here already. But yeah, I'm going to say that's going to be a cost that's adding up.
Oh, no. Well,
yeah, because the cheap flights always get to me mentally. I'm like, oh, well, it's only $100 return. But when you add in everything else, it's way more than that.
Yeah.
What's yours?
So my kid had their birthday, and I think I mentioned before that I was going to have a $5 party.
Oh yes, how did that go?
Yeah, it went really well. Some people still gave a present, and then there was like a few people who gave a present and $5, and I was like, "Oh,
say anything to them?"
I didn't I just said thank you. I like some people knew that they said flat out, they're like, "Oh, my kid's going to want to pick a present for your kid. I'm just telling you right now." And I was like, "Okay, fair," but it just mean that there was less presents, which was nice, and the presents that were received are great. Like they're fantastic. But it's nice to have like a bit of money. I'm going to take the kiddo to the shops, get to pick something. Exciting. It's going to be like a really great experience because it's not only like seeing cash being kind of used, like actual physical cash to purchase something, but we're going to have to talk about how much things cost and so forth. So this is like one of those like this is going to be the first experience of actually using their own money to buy something.
Yeah, amazing. Like the planning of it as well. Instead of like, we're just going to go buy whatever you want and you have to plan for it. And like, what do you feel like getting? Where are we going to go? That'll be fun.
Yeah. It's a whole little thing. And the crazy thing about birthdays is like I've been talking a lot about the cost of birthdays to people. So it's interesting to actually even just see how much birthdays cost. Like we had it at our house. Like other people will have it at a place or an event. So you're paying per child. Some people like do it at the playground. So everyone kind of shows up, but then it's like the hassle of bringing food or
maybe
items.
The weather's bad.
Yeah. Maybe the weather's bad. Yeah. So all those different things and considerations. And then the one thing I hate are goodie bags.
Oh, did you do goodie bags at all in any way?
I did. Well, I know I didn't want to, but I also just don't like, it's so hard socially to not do a goodie bag. You know what I mean? Like at the end, I had like a kid come up to me and be like, do we get goodie bags? Where can I get my bag? Like, could you imagine? It's like, sorry, I'm like the anti-goodie bag mom. And like, I don't want my kid to be like, oh yeah, no one wants to go to your party because we don't get goodie bags. But what I did try to do is be really conscious of it. I originally wanted to like give out little seeds so kids could go home and like plant something. I thought that would be like kind of a fun activity, but I ended up just getting all arts and crafts stuff. So I ended up getting like a bunch of construction paper, cut it all out, like put like stickers and stuff. So everything's going to be like things that you can kind of draw. Got a couple pens. And to be honest, I think it was like quite affordable to do that because it's all like paper stationery and type stuff. And I've got so much great feedback about people being like, oh, like the whole afternoon, my kid was just like drawing and like doing stickers instead of some of those like little plastic toys, little cars that like break right away, or like those little sticky hands that you throw at the wall and then they get like hair on them and then no one wants them. And it's like, great, now I just have more plastic that goes into the landfill. So long story short, I was happy with the choice of the things that I put in the bag.
How much did you spend on the whole birthday?
Oh, I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay. We'll do that. We'll do that in a few weeks, maybe.
Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that. Yeah, it's probably a bit more than I wanted, but the other thing is we do a big birthday party every 2 years, so that's a win. Yeah. Yes. So we do like a smaller family one, so it becomes a big deal.
And birthday parties are so fun when you're a kid and like it's your whole world and it's so exciting and everyone's there for you. Like I used to be so excited about them. Yeah, and I loved gift bag shopping with my mum.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I loved finding things to put in them and thinking about them and going to all the shops and being like, oh, we can have lollies and chocolates and other things. Maybe that's harder these days because people are a lot more wary of allergies and dietaries. Do people give out like lolly goodie bags these days?
Yeah, there was candy in there.
Okay.
Yeah. But they have like a lot of gluten-free candy now. You know?
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, I didn't, Yes, there was candy.
Cool. We'll discuss the cost soon.
Yes, soon.
We'll wait for that.
For sure.
Okay, so I had so much fun scrolling back through our episodes and kind of just like reflecting on the things that we've discussed and some of my favorite ones. Like there have been lots of really fun ones. So sorry if I'm not mentioning the one that you were in to anyone listening, but these are just some of the ones that stood out to me. Lesson 1, we can have control over how much our life costs. We had such a fun interview with Patty Lupari. Is that how I say her last name? Yeah. So her episode was episode 14, Invest with a Korean mum who saved $14,000 a year in childcare costs by moving states. This was a good reminder that if you can, you are in control of your life and you can actually move. Like if childcare costs are really expensive, can you move somewhere with family? Can you move somewhere where it's cheaper? I didn't realize it varied so much by state. That was pretty wild to see.
Yeah, it costs a lot depending on like a lot of the capital cities are really, really expensive. But then there's certain places where there's just not a lot of childcare. So you might have to change. Patty's story is so interesting because they moved out of Sydney to a more affordable place. I know that they bought a house. They wanted to get the crappiest house in the nicest area because then they can add value. I believe Patty's partner like works in some kind of like trades, so they can kind of fix it up. So they're planning on renovating their place. Like Patty's story is so interesting because her family, she's taking control of her finances in order to get ahead. She's also putting way more money into her super because being on parental leave, she didn't realize how much that's going to impact her retirement. She's really focused on her career. She works in cybersecurity, building that out and focusing on herself. Like those are huge learnings and a great way to build wealth.
Yeah. And it's just amazing when people take control of that. And I know it is hard for some people, but amazing when you're like, cool, I'm going to save $14,000 a year in childcare alone. So let's move cities and also save on like where we live as well.
Yeah.
You can get so much more for your money in Brisbane compared to Sydney.
And I think she's like, it seems like she's super happy, doing like awesome things. I know. Oh, Patty, shout out to you.
Yeah. Going for all her walks and everything. Yeah. No, it seems good. Lesson 2, this is more of my one as well. Super feels really far away for some of us, but it's the most tax effective investment we have. So we've done a few episodes on this. I just wrote down 19 and 20 if you want to go listen to those ones. But I want to be more excited about super. It doesn't excite me, but every time I look at the numbers, I want to be more excited about it because like you can just make so much more by investing inside your super.
And super's so intricate that a lot of people don't know. Like you can help support yourself in your first home if you're using the first home super saver scheme, if you're investing through your super. There's insurances that you can check out through your super, make sure that's all done, right? Also, the other thing is I had someone say to me, I'm older than my partner by a few years, and they're like, as you get closer to retirement, it makes more sense for both of you to put money into your super because you'll access it first. Just things that you might not be thinking about at a younger age, but as you slowly get there, you might be strategizing. So it's important to kind of strategize earlier so that you can access that stuff later.
So maybe the lesson is super is not as boring as it seems.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
But also, still, not that thrilling yet. We'll try and get there. You mentioned insurances, which ties really well into lesson number 3. Are you more valuable than your car?
Yes. We had Narina from Guideway on the show and talking to her was so important because I think at that time I didn't have my insurances fully set up. I had some of them. And, you know, even though we work in the finance space, there's things that we're still like trying to juggle and shift around. And I knew I needed to look at that. That really inspired me to look at my insurances because a lot of people don't, for example, have trauma covered.
I forgot that was such an important one to talk about because she was saying that's one most people can actually claim in their lifetime, but most people don't have it because you can't get it inside your super fund. So that's a really important one to consider.
Yeah. And especially if like potentially you might get cancer or something of that sort, right? Like some of these illnesses that we don't anticipate, we might need to get paid out for it. So making sure your insurances are set up is like a really important one. Yeah. And I'm happy to say that I've done it.
Amazing. Congrats. Yeah. Because we kind of focus on like TPD, the total and permanent disability one, or like life insurance or income protection, which is great. But what about if you have to spend every day in hospital for a month or two? It's not necessarily a total and permanent disability, but it impacts your life now.
Hugely. Yeah. So get your insurances checked.
That one is episode 34. Definitely worth a listen. That was such a good episode. We got so much out of that one. Lesson 4, apartments can be good investments.
Yes. We had Kate Beckus on the show and she was really fantastic talking about that. I know that Tash, your first investment was an apartment. My first investment was a apartment. And I think for both of us, it was our first primary residence as well until we moved out. So very kind of similar journey. But a lot of people have so much hate on for apartments. And actually, in a lot of places, they can be really great investments.
Yeah, definitely. I've also learned in the past year or two, just by like getting to know people more, that property advocates, advisors, property advocates, buyers advocates, buyers advocates, can actually be a good idea if you do your research on them. So go have a listen to that one with Kate. She was number 65. Lesson 5, point hacking can help you reach your goals faster.
Yes, this is one I really love. I know, Tash, you are awesome at point hacking and you've really kind of inspired me to relook at that. I was like really into point hacking a few years ago. I got busy with family and now it's made me reconsider what credit cards I have, how I'm actually using my points when I'm doing grocery shopping, how I'm actually using them for flights. All that stuff is really important. That was like a really great episode to kind of just make me be like, I need to take more attention, pay more attention to it. And points can be really complex. They're really kind of confusing when you first get into it. You're like, how much are they worth? You know, is it better to like buy something with points or use it for a flight? And that episode was a really great one.
So that is number 70. It was called Credit Card Points 101. That was a really fun one for me. I love talking about points. Lesson 6, once you move to spending more or buying nicer things, it's really hard to go back. This is something I learned recently. I've told the story a few times now, but I bought a $100 moisturizer when I had like a credit kind of thing to redeem at Mecca, and I loved it so much. And I have finally stopped using it. I did buy 4 of them, I think, in total, because it was hard to find a replacement. And I'm thinking about maybe getting another one, but like it's just such a nice, example of what can happen in all areas of your life. I went through kind of a tricky decision recently when moving to Melbourne. My partner and I both work from home and we wanted a house with 3 bedrooms. We can have our own offices each. We wanted to have like a nice environment where we weren't like crowding each other, but that comes with a higher cost. And I'm worried that now I can't really ever go backwards. Like you can go backwards because it's going to be a lot harder to move into a 2-bedroom apartment in the future if you want to downsize. But yeah, it's important to think about those lifestyle choices before you do them because you're not really, once you try something, it's hard to just be like, okay, I'll return to normal.
This happens with travel as well. You know, I remember like hitchhiking and sleeping in random places and like just trying to do it as cheap as possible. And now the thought of me staying in a hostel is like non-existent. Like I just don't think I can do it anymore, right? Because you've kind of, and then that happens also with age. Like we've talked about this, you know, as you get older, your creature comforts kind of play in. You need your sleep, your right pillow, all those things.
I remember I travel around Southeast Asia quite a bit, and I used to get the midnight till 5 a.m. flight from KL to Perth and then go to work at 7 a.m. the next morning.
Yeah, I would do the same because it was cheaper to fly at night and I didn't have to pay for a hostel.
And I didn't miss a day of work.
Exactly.
I didn't want to take a whole day off and miss out on $200 back then. So yeah, I would literally like land, go straight to the airport, have my stuff ready to go.
Yeah. And I never understood people who wanted to come back a few days earlier to unwind. I was like, you're wasting days that you could be on a trip. And now
I loved my job as well back then. So I was always so excited to go back and see everyone.
Yeah. But now I'm like, it's great to have a few days before. I
need like 6 hours to sit on the couch and just like decompress for a while.
Yeah.
Even yesterday we got back from our like fire event weekend retreat and I was like, no, I'm done for the day. Like I need to just like sit on the couch all night.
Yeah.
I probably didn't need to, but yeah, it used to be so much more different. Yeah, you're getting older. Lesson 7, it's important to understand your goals and how to balance them. So this came from episode 52. Should I invest in ETFs or save for a home deposit?
Yeah. So a really important thing is balancing your goals, right? Like we talk about that quite a bit. And sometimes actually our strategies change over time. We might have a goal of like buying a house, but then we decide we want to move or rent because it provides more flexibility. So I think like it's really important for us to be agile, be able to change when things aren't working out, but still have a goal in mind that you want to work towards.
Yeah, definitely. And just, having a goal, working towards it, you can change your mind. I feel like we've spoken about that so much.
Yeah, but being focused is really, really helpful, right?
Definitely. We've learned that recently.
Yes.
Lesson 8, a financial advisor can be so helpful depending on where you are in your life. So this was from episode 30. Do I need a financial advisor with Delene from Marzi Wealth?
I think financial advisors get like such a bad rep in a lot of times within the financial industry because they are not within the financial industry. People who are outside of the financial industry, I should specify, because they feel like it's expensive. What are they going to tell me I don't know? Like, why should I pay for that? Et cetera, et cetera. But they can be so helpful. They know all the rules. They know all the rules around super. They know what you can and can't do. They can actually do a lot of projections. They can look at your risk. That's a big one that a lot of people forget about. They have a lot of risk when everything is going great, but as soon as things crash or things go downhill, then all of a sudden they're very conservative and they haven't managed their risk profile properly. That's why I think financial advisors are so crucial.
Yeah, definitely. I think we seem to think like financial advisors did get a bad rap from a while ago when it was less regulated and people kind of doing whatever they wanted. They could take huge commissions from investments, but that's been fixed mostly now. And like, yes, there might be bad financial advisors out there, but the industry isn't as crazy as it used to be. And I think there's a lot of those stories where it's like, oh, well, a financial advisor told someone to do something bad, so now I hate financial advisors or they're not worth it. So I think it's good to do your research. They might be good for you. And also like, how many times do we want to do something, but we don't do it because we are like, oh, we'll just get to that later. And then it's been a year later and you've not actioned something. So I think if you need the accountability as well and you need someone to sit you down and to like help you sort through your overwhelm and help you sort through all of your options, like maybe it's worth just paying for it.
Yeah, because I think also sometimes financially savvy people don't think they need financial advisors for any reason. Like I know there's a lot of people, for example, who are in the FIRE community who are like, well, I've got a good grasp of my finances, but having someone map out like if you did this versus that, your outcome might actually be better because you didn't consider these other things. And that's the beauty of talking to a financial advisor. And some of the best times to talk to them is like if you get an inheritance, if you're planning between two different kind of steps in your life, if you have maybe you're planning on kids, like those are really important things when you can talk to someone because they can kind of map that out for you.
Yeah, like I got an accountant really early on to do my tax returns. Like I did my first few by myself and I was making like maybe 20 grand or something as like a part-time thing, but I outsourced that really quickly. And I think I might do the same with a financial advisor in the near, like not in the next few years, but in the near future still, like in a few years, definitely, to kind of help me with structuring things a bit better and like, what are the other options? And even just to not have to think about it all the time. Like I know what's going on, but I also would like to just pass that off at some point.
It's nice to have those options, right? And I think that's
double guess yourself.
Yeah.
Lesson 9, we can be the change we want to see in the world. We did an amazing episode with Jenny Rolfe Wallace. It was episode 74, Why We Need Systematic Financial Change.
She's so great because she's so optimistic, whereas sometimes I think you and I aren't about certain things.
Yeah.
And I love her kind of idea of like, we can be the change that we want to see. You know, we can look at what we're consuming, what we're spending money on, what we're investing in, how things are within the financial industry, and we can be that change. And I really love that kind of message.
Yeah, definitely. I was feeling a bit over social media. I felt really negative. There was lots of negative comments. I was like, why am I even bothering? It feels like it's getting worse and not better. But she was a nice reminder of like, we have come decently far, but we've got so much further to go. And she was saying she wished she had kind of put in more effort when she was younger to make the change she wants to see now, and was kind of encouraging us to keep doing what we're doing. So that was nice to hear that from her and to be like, okay, cool. Like it is our responsibility to change the things that we want.
Yeah.
That was lovely. Lesson 10, I wanted this one to just be like, what have we learned from 100 episodes? So what have been your learnings like personally from doing this podcast?
Oh my gosh. Well, I guess like right off the bat, the first things that come to mind is like how much work a podcast is. I know it sometimes like seems so easy, like people are just talking, but like having to plan, having to think things out, having to book
the studios, having to get the equipment, having to worry about the equipment not working, having to like name the episodes and like do the show notes and schedule the episodes and like make a plan for what comes out when and like how people will receive that stuff.
Yeah. And then on top of that, in a lot of cases, I mean, I know we've gotten a bit of flack about having advertisers on the podcast, but that helps to pay for all this stuff. Like it's free for people listening. you might have to listen to for a few seconds to something else.
And like, you can just, I don't mind if you skip them. Like, please listen if you want to help us, but also like, if you really don't want to, just skip them.
Yeah. So those are like, that's like a big one right off the bat.
Yeah. Just to give you an idea of costs, like the studio we are in now is $600 for 4 hours. So $150 an hour. It's about an hour every episode. Our editor costs between like $300 to $400 an episode as well. There's also other money that goes into it in terms of like, I used to travel to do the podcast as well. Now I live here. That's a lot better. We've got to have someone help us with show notes and reels because we can't physically do that all ourselves as well. So like the cost adds up really quickly.
Yes. What are some of the other learnings that you've had?
I like having something that's not just on social media. I've loved doing longer form content because people can hate you a little bit less. I've had one hate email from the podcast, which is fine, but it's not like social media where you can like watch a 30-second reel and then comment really quickly on something. Like people have to like listen and then go to a different platform to send me feedback, which I've enjoyed the space. I've enjoyed it being like, just off social media. That's been nice. I've enjoyed seeing people in real life again and inviting people to be guests has been so much fun because you can hang out with them and say hi. And we've gone for a few lunches and stuff, which has been really fun. So I've enjoyed like more of the community real life aspect of it.
The guests are amazing. Having like people on the show that you can actually ask questions who know, who have a different perspective is really valuable as well.
And if you want a networking hack, start a podcast because it is so easy to be like, hey, you want to come on my podcast? And you get to meet people.
Yeah, exactly.
And it benefits both of you because like it's hard to message someone out of the blue and be like, hey, do you want to come for coffee? But if you can offer them something in exchange for that time, you get to pick their brain, share it with the world as well, and then also like get to meet them.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is it's nice to also like connect with you on a deeper level, like on the podcast, because we actually get to talk about our money wins or losses. We're learning from each other, a very different perspective. You know, like I've got a family, you know, you're much younger. Like we get to like that's kind of cool because
I opened my eyes to kids.
Yeah. Talk about it way too much, but it's just nice. It's kind of like a really great dynamic where we get to like learn from each other. At least I know for me, I learned so much also just like doing this podcast in terms of like social media, how to promote yourself. What are the things you need to do? Like those are things that I'm not as strong, I don't have as strong of a skill set there. So that's always exciting.
It's nice to have like forced reflections because you really have to be sure in what you're doing and why before you share it with the world. So it's nice to actually like have to think about that and then have to reflect on it in these episodes to talk about it. I think it would be too easy to kind of just like push things under the carpet and be like, oh yeah, I'll deal with that later. Yeah. If I wasn't like kind of I'm not forced to speak about anything, but it wasn't brought up as much.
Yeah, so exactly. Like my insurances, getting that stuff done.
Yeah, like it's really good for accountability if I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, for sure.
And then people can bring it up if I don't.
One of the biggest learnings, I think, from this podcast is what an awesome community we have. Like creating a community, having a community, like meeting with other people. Like when we went to our book launches, how many people came out and actually asked questions from the podcast?
Yes,
like
when someone asked that money win question in Perth, someone asked us what our money win or loss of the day was. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. People are paying attention.
Yeah. And that's the great way because they feel like they connect to us and then we feel like we're connected to them. And we're hopefully like helping other people as well. Like when we get questions coming in from our community, being able to provide feedback on that is really great. So I love that. And I just want us to build more and more of that kind of community vibe. So that's been like one of the biggest learnings and excitement for me.
So if you guys have any suggestions for community events or ways we can get you guys more involved, please let us know because I would love to do more. I love in-person things. Yeah. They're a lot of effort, but I do love them. So I'd love to find like a lower effort way to do them.
Awesome.
Yay.
I think that's it. So happy 100th episode.
Yes, crazy. Happy 100.
Yay.
We'll see you in 200 maybe for our next celebration.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks so much for joining us. If you found this episode helpful, please rate us 5 stars, write a review, or share with a friend. If you're new to investing, make sure to listen to our first 10 episodes. Follow us at Get Rich Slow Club or Tash at Tash Invest or me at Ana Christina.
This show was brought to you by Natasha Etchman, who is an authorized representative 1299881 of Guideway Financial Services, AFSL 420367, and Perla, who is an authorized representative 1281540 of Sanlam Private Wealth, AFSL 337927. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to investing. So make sure you check out our financial services guides and read the product disclosure statement and target market determination for any investments you're considering. See our show notes for more info.